The general process for making McDonald's fries as they are today was patented and put in place. Of course, this only solved part of the puzzle. The expansion still required an insane amount of potatoes and consistency in the base potato product. On this one, enter J.R. Simplot. At the age of 14 in 1923, Simplot got in an argument with his dear old pappy and then dropped out of school and moved out. Simplot's own journey towards becoming a billionaire started with just $20, about $350 today, money his mother had given him when he left home. Now, him being just 14 years old, and this being shortly before the Great Depression, you might think the young Simplot was about to have a very bad time. But you'd be wrong. First, beyond renting a room for $1 a night, he used most of the rest of the money to purchase interest-bearing scripts from local teachers who were paid this way and wanted to convert their scripts to cash quickly. Shortly thereafter, he managed to sell the scripts for a profit and then rinsed and repeated this until he earned enough money to buy a rifle and some piglets, the latter being especially cheap because of a downturn in the market at the time. He then used the rifle to shoot wild horses, which he sold the hides of, then mixed their remains and potatoes together to feed the pigs, cooking the slop for them on fires made of sagebrush that he had collected. By the time the pigs were grown, the market had recovered somewhat, and he sold them for a pretty massive profit. He then used the money from that venture to buy a small potato farm, and then he kept rinsing and repeating and expanding, and a mere 10 years after buying that first potato farm, he was the largest supplier of potatoes in the entire western half of the United States, and soon to be one of the major suppliers of the US Army during World War II. Along the way, he also expanded out to other related businesses that benefited the farming, making much of what his company needed, from fertilizer to animal feed to lumber to oil, as well as starting some random companies like running several ski resorts. Later, he even invested $1 million into a small company a couple of engineers in Idaho had dreamed up, the result of that investment being Micron Technology, currently worth about $100 billion. Now, we'll save Simplot's full fascinating story to rise to be one of the richest people in the world for another day, but going back to his potato ventures and McDonald's French fry issues as they expanded, Simplot was there to save the day, not only in the volume of potatoes he could supply, but in his ability to do it year-round, partially thanks to a freezing process his own company had come up with about a decade before at the behest of one of his employees, Ray Dunlap. Simplot had initially resisted the idea of freezing potatoes, noting, quote, "You freeze spuds and they will go to mush." But others such as Olof Persson had very recently cracked the problem and invented the frozen French fry. So Simplot went ahead and provided Dunlap with a specialized large freezer unit anyway, and a bit of work and experimentation later, Simplot was sampling French fries made from Dunlap's frozen product and noted after tasting them, "My God, good product." Needless to say, with about a decade of experience in freezing French fries and being one of the largest growers of potatoes in the world, McDonald's and Simplot couldn't help but get into bed with one another.